Hey everyone, I'm spilling my guts here anonymously, because I need to get this off my chest, and maybe some of you with life experience can offer some wisdom. Subscribe and drop your thoughts in the comments. I'd love to hear your take. I'm 18, still living at home with my mom and stepdad in a quiet suburb, just outside Chicago. Life here is pretty predictable: high school senior year, helping with dishes, and the occasional family movie night with popcorn and too much soda. My mom's 42, a nurse who pulls long shifts at the hospital, always coming home with tired eyes and a forced smile. My stepdad, Tom, is 47, a warehouse worker with a burly frame, graying hair, and a gruff voice that softens when he talks about his old motorcycle days. They've been married 5 years, since I was 13, after Mom split with my dad. Tom's been okay, drives me to school when Mom's out, fixes the leaky faucet, even taught me to change a tire last summer. I never thought much of him beyond that until lately. One evening last month, Mom dragged herself in after a brutal double shift. She popped a sleeping pill, she's been relying on them since the stress got bad, and crashed on my bed, out cold within minutes. Her snoring filled the room, a loud rumble that usually annoys me, but I didn't mind that night. I figured I'd sleep in their room since Tom was on night shift at the warehouse and wouldn't be back till morning. Their beds are king size with soft sheets, way comfier than my twin, and I was too exhausted to care. I grabbed my pillow, tiptoed past her snores, and slipped into their room, the faint smell of Tom's aftershave lingering. The house was silent, the kind of quiet that makes you feel like you're the only one awake, with the crickets chirping outside and the AC humming low. I'd been having these weird thoughts lately, about Tom, his strong hands when he works on the car, the way he laughs when he thinks no one's listening. I'd push them away, telling myself it's just teenage hormones, but they kept creeping back. That night, I drifted off, dreaming of something vague and warm, until a noise jolted me awake. The clock glowed 2 a.m. Someone was in the room. My heart skipped. What would I do? If you were me, what would you have done in this situation? I was half asleep in my stepdad Tom's bed, when that creak at 2 a.m. snapped me out of my dream. The room was pitch black, just the faint orange glow of streetlights seeping through the curtains, casting thin shadows on the walls. I thought it might be the house settling, but then the mattress dipped under a heavy weight. My breath hitched as Tom slid under the covers, the smell of beer and sweat hitting me before I could process it. He was home early, way earlier than his night shift should have ended. I froze, my mind racing. He must have thought I was Mom, passed out in my room with her pill-induced snores. "Hey, babe," he mumbled, his voice thick and slurred, barely coherent. His hand brushed my arm, then slid to my waist, fumbling in the dark. I realized he was drunk, stumbling in, mixing up the rooms in his haze. My heart pounded, a mix of fear and something I couldn't name. He started tugging at my pajama top, his fingers rough but hesitant, like he was half asleep himself. The fabric rustled, and I felt the cool air as he pulled it up. I should have screamed, pushed him away, run to Mom's room, but I didn't. Those secret thoughts I'd buried, his broad shoulders when he lifts boxes, the way he'd wink at me over dinner, flooded back. I'd been curious, ashamed to admit it, but there it was, pulsing under my skin. He didn't know it was me, I told myself, clinging to that excuse. The room grew hot, the air thick with his breath and the weight of the moment. His hands moved lower, undoing my pants, and I didn't stop him. My mind screamed it was wrong, but my body stayed still, caught in a web of confusion and desire. What was I becoming? The tension built, and I knew this was heading somewhere I couldn't undo. I was in the dark with Tom, his hands on me, thinking I was Mom. The room was a cocoon of shadows, the bedside clock's red numbers the only light, ticking toward 2:15 a.m. His breathing was heavy, ragged from the beer, and his touch was clumsy but insistent as he pulled off my pajama top and slid my pants down. I should have stopped him, yelled, shoved him off, anything, but I didn't. Those hidden feelings I'd shoved down, his rugged build, the quiet way he'd watch TV with Mom, came rushing up, mixing with the fear and adrenaline. I was 18, curious, maybe too naive, and part of me wanted this, even if it was wrong. He mumbled something incoherent, his lips brushing my shoulder, and I felt the heat of his skin against mine. We had sex, quick, messy, in the blur of his drunken mistake. My mind spun like a carnival ride, guilt crashing against this strange thrill, my body responding even as my heart raced with panic. It wasn't gentle or romantic, it was raw, urgent, over in minutes. When he finished, he rolled onto his back, muttering something about work, and passed out cold. I lay there, breathless, the sheets tangled around me, my skin still tingling. The reality hit like a slap. I'd let this happen. I slipped out of bed, my legs shaky, grabbed my clothes, and bolted to the living room. The carpet was cold under my bare feet as I curled up on the couch, wrapping myself in a throw blanket. My heart wouldn't slow down, and my mind replayed every second. He thought I was Mom, I kept telling myself, but I knew I'd chosen to stay silent, to let it play out. The house was still, Mom snoring in my room, Tom out cold, and me with a secret that felt like a brick in my chest. Was I to blame? Or was it all his mistake? After that night with Tom, I spent the early hours on the living room couch, wrapped in a blanket, my mind a whirlwind. The clock ticked past 3 a.m., the house silent except for the occasional creak, and Mom's distant snores from my room. My body still hummed from what happened, a mix of shame and this weird satisfaction I couldn't shake. I'd let my stepdad, drunk and confused, think I was Mom, and I hadn't stopped him. The guilt was a weight, but so was the thrill of that forbidden moment. Morning came too soon, sunlight streaming through the blinds, waking me with a start. I heard Tom shuffling in the kitchen, the clink of mugs and the drip of the coffee maker. I stayed put, heart pounding, until Mom stirred in my room. She stumbled out, groggy from her sleeping pill, her nurse scrubs wrinkled. Rough night, she muttered, rubbing her eyes, and shuffled to join Tom. I followed, forcing my legs to move, pretending everything was normal. Tom was at the counter, pouring coffee, looking rough, bloodshot eyes, stubble thicker, his warehouse uniform rumpled. "Hey, kid," he said to me, voice hoarse, no flicker of recognition. He turned to Mom with a sheepish grin. "Guess I had too much last night. Don't even remember getting home." Mom laughed it off, too tired to dig deeper, and they chatted about her shift. I stood there, silent, my stomach twisting. He didn't know it was me. Mom had no clue. It was my secret, locked tight. I mumbled an excuse about homework and locked myself in my room, sinking onto my bed. The mirror showed a girl I barely recognized, flushed cheeks, wide eyes. The guilt was suffocating, but that rush lingered, a secret I hugged close. I wondered if I should tell someone, maybe a friend, but the shame held me back. Days passed, and Tom acted normal, oblivious. Was I wrong to keep quiet? After that morning, I kept my distance, avoiding Tom's gaze, sticking close to Mom when I could. The house felt different, every creak of the floorboards, every time he cleared his throat, sent my heart racing. He never mentioned that night, and Mom stayed clueless, her routine of work and pills unchanged. I'd lie awake, replaying it, his hands, the heat, the way I didn't push him away. It was wrong, I knew it deep down, but I didn't regret it. That thrill, that secret power, it stuck with me like a shadow I couldn't shake. I started writing it all down in a notebook, hidden under my mattress, pouring out the guilt, the desire, the confusion. Was I messed up for liking it? Maybe, but at 18, I was still figuring out who I was, and that night was a piece of that puzzle. I talked to a school counselor once, keeping it vague, said I'd done something I couldn't take back. She suggested therapy, her voice gentle but firm, but I wasn't ready to face it head on. Instead, I threw myself into college applications, dreaming of a dorm room far from here. One evening, Tom caught me alone in the kitchen, chopping veggies for dinner. "You okay, kid?" he asked, his voice soft, his brown eyes searching mine. I nodded, forcing a smile, seeing no memory in his gaze, just the same stepdad who'd taught me to drive. It was over for him, a drunken blur, but not for me. I've decided to bury it, my little rebellion, my guilty pleasure. Mom and Tom go on, and I'm counting down to next fall when I'll move out. Looking back, I see a drunk mistake and a girl who took a chance. I don't judge myself too harshly, life's messy, right? If you've got a similar story or advice, share it, I'm all ears. Thanks for listening to my confession. Take care.